Dab on the haters.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Making It Work podcast. Okay, was that not? We don't do that.
No, it's not 2021 anymore, bro.
Okay,
We're transitioning,
bro. Yeah.
Okay, whatever. Yo, my name is David. This is my co-host Osmin. And today we have with us a very special guest. We have my boy Joey Gomez. You already know who it is.
Joey Shimoey.
Nah,
Come on.
I'm
A little background on Joey.
I ain't like that, trust me.
Okay. Joey, a little background on Joey. He's one of my closest friends from back home in California. He's a worship leader. He works in youth ministry, kids ministry. He's just an all-around awesome guy, servant of the Lord, loves Jesus. So we just thought, who better to have on this podcast than my man Joey. Joey, how you doing, bro?
I'm chilling. I'm doing very well. My first time on a podcast. So, thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
And in Tucson.
And in Tucson, my first week in Tucson. It's pretty chill so far.
Sick, awesome. So how are things going with you in this whole post-COVID lifestyle?
Dude, no, let me tell you, post-COVID, it's hitting different because you're able to walk around like pretty confident, not having to worry about nothing.
Yeah.
High key though, my mom, she's still on me. She's like, "Hey, put the mask on." I was like, "Homie, we good. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We still good, baby."
Yeah. Awesome. Hey, man. Well, I'm just super honored to have you here.
Appreciate it, man.
My boy Osmin, how we feeling, baby?
Hey, we feeling good.
Feeling
you know
good.
what about? Feeling refreshed.
All right.
You know, just been a long week, and just like Joey, just been moving around, traveling and stuff. But how do you feel about like the entire like atmosphere here, like the heat here?
Oh,
How you feeling about that?
like physically, the atmosphere.
Yeah.
I feel a spring.
No, how do you feel
in this
physically?
room. No, physically,
man.
no, it's different because over there in California, since we're closer to the ocean, it's more of a humid heat, and it's like it's not as hot as it is here, but it's thicker. If you get what I'm trying to say, like the atmosphere, like just it's dense. So you're outside, it's not too hot, but there's like this layer of thin sweat just always on you.
Ooh.
Yeah.
My man just said dense.
He said thick.
He said the
Too.
atmosphere is changing.
Ooh, come on. I told y'all he was a worship
Yo, this
leader.
man can sing too, though.
He really can.
He
really
can.
can.
I was stalking him. Anyways.
Okay, you want to hop in on... Oh.
Hey, just gotta do my research. His name is Joey. That's all I found out.
Yes, sir.
But, dude, like over here we have this thing called Mount Lemon. Have you been to it yet?
I have not yet.
It's pretty dope. I was actually there a couple of weeks ago. I was with a friend, and he drives this Subaru, right? Like this small car, a little Crosstrek. And there was one night where we actually came down there 50, 60 miles per hour.
Yo.
And let me tell you, this thing is like moves around. And I just remember sitting there with him like, boy, you better chill out. And after 6 times, he chilled out, you know? But let me tell you, I was fearing, bro. I had so much fear as I was going down there. And I told him, I was like, hey, dude, like, I'm scared right now. I don't know if I feel comfortable. People in the back were like,
We ain't doing this
hey,
again,
man,
Chief.
like, you know, it doesn't really matter either, you know?
Oh, my God.
And then he was like, all right, man. And that's what he loved to do. And I was like, all right,
cool.
thank you. So after 5 minutes, there was this Prius behind us, and they really wanted to pass us. But my friend was like, hey, I'm not going to speed up. You said to take it slow.
Yeah.
So chill.
So I was like, all right, fine, whatever. Pull over. We'll let her pass. Who cares? Like, doesn't matter who it is. So the Prius passes, and it has like over here we have like Christian plates.
Christian people?
Like, well,
We
the
have
Christian
Christian
plates.
people over here?
It says like God or something like
God.
that in it, right? And it's like a big blue one. And I was like, bro, we just got passed by Granny from church.
No, she said I'm on
Bro,
my
and
way to the 5 p.m. service.
For
bro.
real. And then, so,
Oh.
as we were like speeding up again a little bit, I was like, you know what, bro? I'm scared, but I said, you know what? Who cares? Just go fast, but don't go past 50, I said. So he was like, all right, bet. So he stopped in the middle of the road,
No.
and then as the cars just passed, he gave them enough space, and then he just let it go, bro. And let me tell you, I was so scared at that moment. I was like, dude, I don't know if this car about to flip or something, because it's very sharp edges in some parts. Not in all of them, but in some parts.
Yeah.
But I just remember I was like, you know what? I would not have enjoyed this if I hadn't let myself just enjoy it and let that fear just go. So I was like, his name is Casey. He's a cool dude. And
Casey
I was
Neistat?
like, Casey, I should have let you speak up from the beginning. And though that sounds dangerous, and I don't recommend hitting 50 plus going downhill, I do believe that concept really carries into a lot of other things.
Yeah.
And that's something we just wanted to speak
Yeah.
on today. And that is fear leads to compromise.
Yeah. That was good, bro.
That's clean.
You have something you want to
Transition.
start
That
us with?
transition. Hey, that was clean, bro.
Transition. My guy.
Yeah, man, today's topic is we're talking all about fear and why you're a scaredy cat. No, just kidding. We're talking about fear and how fear oftentimes can lead us into compromise. And I think that's such a great story how a lot of times fear can also like stop us from enjoying things or getting somewhere quicker. You know what I'm saying? Obviously in the context of a car, it can be dangerous, but in the context of life or ministry or friendships or relationships, fear can really be something that'll like keep us from going somewhere or moving forward to compromising, to being comfortable. So I don't know if Joey, you have a story that's kind of a time you were scared.
Dude, no,
Scared
okay.
little boy.
I have.
Scared little. I'm just kidding.
I've been bullied my whole life. I did. No, I'm just kidding.
Like, I'm scared right now.
No, I'm scared right now. So I've never been on a
Get me outta here,
podcast
he said.
before. No.
I have a knife.
So David, I love you, man. You're no, I'm just kidding. No, but okay, I have a couple stories, but I'm only gonna share one. I wanted to share the time. All right. So
Let me
Our
get
church-
comfortable. Let me get comfortable.
it's long story short. My church, we were going to go serve in Colombia on this mission, and we were chilling.
Oh, he international.
Yeah.
Started with
He
Colombia.
international.
I'm sorry. All right. So what happened was, y'all know how Colombia gets. We got.
I've never been. I actually
Yeah,
don't
me
know.
neither. I don't know.
No, it's not.
We don't know. How
we
it
got
gets.
we got cartels. We got all these like just a lot going on, and we went to like the worst part. We went to the place where what's his name? Pablo Escobar. Is that the one that was in?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were about to say J Balvin.
We went to the place, the literal city where Pablo Escobar got shot and where his whole like prison was and all that stuff was. So we were going down there. It was my first time. My first time traveling like internationally, especially to especially like South America or Central America, wherever it's located. I forgot. South. There you go.
South Central.
Yeah.
It's all under the domain of the Lord's creation.
To make a long story short, we land, and it's going good so far. We're having a pretty good time. The pastor and like his escudero came and like picked us up, and we were chilling. We were like, all right, cool. Like everybody, like the pastor's son, everybody, they went with the pastor like to go chill with their family, and we were going to the hotel, and it was like me and two other guys. We left the hotel, and the guy who was like driving us, he was like one of the head ushers, and he was like, hey, obviously it's in Spanish, but he was like, hey, just letting you guys know, I'm gonna drive through a couple red lights because if you stop here, you're going to get like mugged. Like they're going to steal parts from the car. You're gonna lose your money, your passport. You're gonna lose everything. I was like, oh, okay, for sure. So this guy's like running red lights. He's just doing everything. Streets were empty. It was like Fast and Furious type beat. I was chilling though. I was like, all right, okay. Family. No, he knew what he was doing though. I can tell. Out of nowhere, bah! Flat tire.
No.
In the middle of the night, it was like 2 a.m. in Colombia, Cali, Colombia. We had to stop, pull over. Cali? Nah, bro, we don't even call
I
it
thought you
Cali.
were saying
No, in the middle. So in the middle of the night, it was like 2 a.m. I'd like to say, and so we pop out the guys. Like obviously, it's a bunch of guys. We're gonna get something done at least, even if it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. We have to get out of this car and fix this car. So we get out. We check this trunk. He's got no spare tire.
Bro.
My guy.
Hey, y'all in Colombia different, bro.
Hold up.
I don't care.
Well, just watch this. My guy, he's like, all right, I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to go buy a tire. He leaves us for a solid 30 minutes in the dark, in the middle of Cali. Bro, if I could tell you anything about fear, I was like, I look white. They going to kill me first. They going to kill me
He
first.
said he got money.
Oh, he got money. What you here for? Huh? You on vacation? No, I'm here to serve the Lord. No, but what ended up happening is he came back. We fixed the tire, and we got to the hotel in one piece. And it was an amazing encounter, an amazing Just presence of God showed up. I think it was that event. Every service that we played had 2,000 people,
Wow.
Crazy.
and we played like 3 services.
That's awesome.
And God moved. It was
Yeah.
awesome. So if I would have given to that fear and just kind of been like, all right, dude, like take me home, like I'm
Yeah.
not doing this,
Yeah.
we wouldn't have had that. So
Yeah,
it was a
definitely.
real crazy experience.
Yeah, I think fear is one of those things that to me is so crazy because we have like natural fears that are like, you know, if I like, you know,
My guy no flinch, bro.
yeah. I mean, he didn't flinch, but you just ruined my whole. Yeah, there. It is.
Oh, late
I'm just
flinch,
late.
late
I'm just
flinch.
But we have natural fears, right? Fears that like our reflexes, their instinct. We also have fears that are learned, fears that we kind of like learn over experiences. So like for example, one I can think of is like fear of the dark,
Yeah.
right? Like as a kid, you don't go to sleep, or as a baby, because I feel like the fear of darkness begins when you're an actual child, right? Like when you're like 8, 7 years
Like
old.
the fear of the unknown. almost.
Yeah. Or like I feel like just like our minds run wild and we just don't know what's in the darkness. So there's fears like that, fears that are natural, and then fears that are learned.
Yeah, and I think that like even within like a couple of preachings that I've heard, like they've spoken on like how humans have only 2 fears when they're born, and that is fear of loud noises, so like a loud noise. Scary.
I had to.
And then fear of falling. Like those are the 2. So like when he says that we pick up these fears like in our lives over time, like that is what he is saying. And it's like, who knew that it only started with 2?
Yeah.
Because like I'm sure that dogs, if I was scared of dogs, that would have started when I was
I
a
was
child. Or
terrified
when I
of
was
dogs
born,
as a
you know?
kid. I was so scared of dogs.
Were you?
Terrified. My parents were so embarrassed of me and my 2 sisters, because whenever we'd go to someone's house, we'd make a ruckus, bro. And like people who had like inside dogs, they were like, "Oh, but they're so nice," but we'd be like peeing our pants.
The dog has like he's like this.
No, legit.
And
And
has your
then,
name on it.
They got
No.
a picture on the wall that says
No, dude,
beware of
the
the
dog's like,
dog.
come
no, dude, and I think about that, and I'm like, dude, I was like, they could be a chihuahua. Like I was terrified.
Dude, no, tell me why. When I was like a little kid, we had these brothers and sisters in Christ who used to take care of my sister and I when we were little, and there was this dog that we'd never see coming from upstairs, and it was vicious, bro. Guess what his name was? His name was Princess. Like mad, like terrifying. I come to find out it was like a little 1-pound chihuahua. I was like,
That's such a
There
chihuahua
was,
name though.
For
there
real.
was in 4th grade, there was a girl in my class. Her name was Princess, and she was like the school bully.
What?
it's
But
the
her-
name,
But her
bro.
name was
Princess?
Princess.
That's the name.
Her name was Princess.
Straight up.
It's like the spirit of Jezebel comes
And
over.
she just
them.
put that. She just put this spirit of fear on my life. I'm just kidding. So, yeah, man. I don't know. Fear is just something that is learned. You know, it's something that over time we grow. But one thing that we need to learn is that fear is not from God.
True
Yeah.
that.
Fear doesn't come from God. That is not a godly thing. And if we go to 2 Timothy 1:7, it says, can you read that, Osmin?
Yeah, it says, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline."
So here we see, right? Fear. God did not give us a spirit of fear or timidity.
Yeah.
He gave us a spirit of love. You know what I'm saying? So one thing that we need to learn is that when we're scared, that is something that is not of God. So why would we listen to it?
True.
Yeah.
True.
And why are we so prone to giving into it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think one thing too is that fear leading to compromise. What is compromise? To compromise is to settle, right?
Yeah.
We settle for less than. We settle for a lot of times something that's not even in God's plan. And if we go to Isaiah 41:10, I don't know if you got that.
I got you. So Isaiah 41:10 says, "Do not be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will hold you up with my victorious right hand."
Dude, that's crazy. Here we just see the plans that God has for us, right? Don't be discouraged. I will strengthen you. I will help you. To compromise is to settle.
Yeah.
So if to compromise is to settle, to compromise is to be outside of the Lord's will. right? And that's disobedience, right?
Yeah.
To be outside of the will of God. So fear, I feel like, is such a greater thing. Fear leads to compromise. To compromise is to settle. And when we settle, we're not in the will of God. We're not walking in our truest, purest, most fulfilled self,
Yeah.
right? Like your dreams,
I get you. Yeah.
the God dream over your life is being put on hold because of fear. And if fear's not from God, it's from the enemy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
I do agree. Fear can spawn from also a lack of identity, a lack of knowing who you are and what you were put on this earth to do.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's like life it just keeps going. There's
Mhm.
not like a definitive answer as to why, because God, His why, is whatever He wants it to be.
Yeah.
As of right now, this season, I could be right here. God could plant me here, or I could be back in California. The next season, God could be like, okay, I need you to start children's ministry. Oh my God, please no, don't do that. But-
Please, God, don't do that.
But the thing is that it's the fear that is dormant within us, because obviously we give that fear to God, but it's like still a dead shell of a body.
Right.
It could, if we give it that authority and that life, it could come back, and if we give it that power, then that's when it's like, okay, we confuse the voice of God for the voice of fear. And we're
Mhm.
saying, you know what, actually, I don't think this is the right move for me.
Yeah.
I don't think this is what God wants for me, because, you know, it doesn't sound right, doesn't feel right. When God, He's like, no, I'm pushing you to do this.
Mhm.
Usually, for me at least, when I'm praying to God, the first voice is always God. And that's the voice that always like is pushing me. But the second voice is always me.
Mhm.
It's always the second voice that questions that authority, that questions what He's saying. So if you don't have that firm identity and knowing who God is and knowing who you are in God, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, you're going to be led
Yeah.
astray so often.
Yeah.
And like I think even just putting it in like a practical, like I mean like not a practical, but like putting it into like a scenario. So, the beginning of the year, I started off with 3 very, very, very amazing people in my life that I just love so much. And within 3 months of that, one of them told me that they were moving to go be a youth pastor somewhere else, and that was awesome. The other one said she was going to another country, and the third one said he was getting deployed. So by the end of the year, I was at this point where like, yo, I'm about to be alone
Yeah.
for a bit of this.
Yeah.
And let me just tell you that getting to this point where I had these people and like it was like iron sharpening iron, like great. Oh, the Lord was moving heavily. So much was moving there.
Yeah.
That I had to like remove myself from a lot of other things. Remove myself from certain groups. And it's not that they were bad. It's that it just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Right.
It wasn't for me for the season. So I found myself with a limited and smaller group, but I was happy. There was growth. There was movement.
Yeah.
And the reason why this matters is because I would go to church with 2 of them, right? And they would go with me, and it was a blast. It was fun, and even if it was just 3 of us there, like it was all that I needed.
Okay.
So when I found that out, I had this fear in my past where it was like fear of rejection or
Oh,
fear of
yeah.
feeling alone, feeling abandoned.
For sure, yeah.
And I was like, bro, what is gonna happen?
Yeah.
And I just remember 1 week, none of them were here.
Mhm.
And it was not going to be just a 1 week thing. It was going to be like a 2 week. So this is the first day that they were not going to be there. And it was a Wednesday night prayer. And I was like, man, I've already missed the last 2. Like some of them weren't there. I didn't go because of that. And I was like, I had this fear of being there by myself. And I was like, man, I'm not going to go to church
Oof,
today.
come on.
I'm just going to go somewhere else and spend time with the Lord over there.
Mhm.
And as that came, I just felt like the Lord was saying, hey, just press into that. Press into just being there by yourself with me.
Oh.
And so I literally went. I just went. I was like, all right, like, whatever this looks like, if I feel like I'm alone, I feel like people are looking at me and saying, oh, this guy's a loner, like,
Loser.
yeah, like, if I
He loves
feel
God
that
and came to
way,
church by himself?
whatever, you know? And when I got there, dude, there was such a freedom, such a movement there.
Yeah.
But had I compromised, had I been like, I have this fear here, because compromise literally says an agreement or a settlement of a dispute that is reached by each side making concessions, right? And that what that's saying is like both of you are coming to this conclusion that you're gonna agree to this point, to this thing, right? And for me, it was like me battling with the fear fear of rejection, fear of feeling alone.
Mm.
And I was there, and I was like, man, I'm gonna have to either push it out, and we're gonna have to stay there,
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
or I'm gonna say, hey, you know what, fear, you win today. I'm not going to church today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Lord was like, no, I don't want you to compromise today. I want you to walk in the fullness that I have for you.
Yeah.
And if that means literally going to church by yourself today, then so be it.
Yeah.
And because of that, because I was
Mhm.
walking in and letting the Lord just
Yeah.
guide me in that,
Mm-hmm.
the compromise was like, nah, you're out. Like, I'm not going to compromise. Like, I'm going to walk in the full freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Because half freedom is not freedom at all, you know?
Mhm.
Ooh,
So,
that was good,
and
bro.
even in just like,
Half freedom is not freedom.
a fraction faith coming next week.
That's
But
crazy.
like, but even in just like taking that step, I was like, you know what? This fear could have led me to a place of compromise
Mhm.
where I could have convinced myself that even just going to like a place of solitude, like a place alone with the Lord would have been enough. But that's not what the Lord wanted for me,
That's
and He didn't want me to give into that fear.
And I feel like that is so true for a lot of people because unfortunately I feel like we live in a world where anxiety is up and like, you know, people, especially with COVID, have gone through the fear of being alone, and a lot of times it is like, oh, I won't go to school if so and so isn't there, like I'm too anxious to go to a doctor appointment by myself. So I think fear is such a big block, like a roadblock in a lot of people's lives nowadays, because fear can also lead into anxiety and lead into depression and lead to into other things. But yeah, that's so good, and I like how you brought that up, because my next point is you're not supposed to do it alone, right?
Mhm.
You're
Yeah.
not supposed to do life alone. You're supposed to do life in community, but not only in community, but with God. So if we go to Matthew 19:26, and I love this, it says, you want to read it?
Yeah, so it says Jesus looked at them intently and said, humanly speaking, it is impossible, but with God, everything is possible.
Dude, 100%, and I love that so much, because realistically, you're not supposed to do this.
Mhm.
Like, you do the possible and let God take care of the impossible. When we're in a season that is new, that is different, that can bring fear.
Yep.
Even if it's a godly season, even if we're in a season that is meant to be a blessing,
Definitely, yeah.
that can still bring fear.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because then, oh, I'm not good enough.
Yep.
I'm not supposed to be here.
Preach it. Come on.
I don't have the skills. I'm not qualified. A lot of times when you go into a new job, oh, I lied on my resume, whatever. You know what I'm saying? But like, I didn't actually lie on my resume.
That's
Just
crazy.
what-
I went to Harvard.
yeah,
Say it.
Stanford graduate. No, but yeah, man, I feel like we do the possible and just let God handle the impossible.
Yeah, it's low key. It's
Loki.
Loki from Marvel. No, just kidding. I like that a lot. And kind of going back to what you were talking about, being alone. I feel like, I don't know if this happens to you guys ever, like going to church, but
It never happens.
there
I never go to church.
there are certain days in which your day could just, it could be going great, and then last minute,
Yeah.
right before you're going to church, just something happens. You're like,
Mhm.
I don't even want to go no more.
Yeah.
I don't even want to go no more. And the thing is that I've come to notice, because this happened with my sister before, and the only reason why I bring her up is because I was the outside force looking in. So it happened, and she was like, I'm not gonna go. I'm just gonna stay home. I'm not feeling well for X reason. I'm not gonna get into it.
Yeah.
And those services that I go to, but she decided to stay home by herself. The Holy Spirit moved like crazy. Holy Spirit came down, healings, miracles, signs, wonders. And the thing is that when you, and I know I can say this because we've talked, my sister, we've talked about it before. The reason is that when you allow yourself to give in, sometimes you're holding back the blessing from yourself, because you never know what you can encounter, what you
Mm.
can experience. It's like you said, that compromise. Okay, well, I'm just gonna stay home because I'm not feeling well, or I just had a bad day, and I just kind of want to stay home and just not have to deal with people because we're leaders at the church, blah blah blah. And it just kind of leads you down this path of like, okay, why am I going if it's not for God? Am I going just to satisfy myself,
Yeah.
or is it this fear of missing out?
Mm-hmm.
Or am I really going to encounter God? Am I really going to have this kind of encounter, just knowing that God can do something? And it's always funny because it's always those services that someone misses out, that it's just like, God, presence, Lord Jesus, he's here. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's just,
Yeah.
it's crazy, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, bro. I mean, I think one more point is that, like, when we compromise, like, it makes it that much easier to continue in a place where, like,
Yeah.
you're gonna continue to
The cycle.
compromise.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, like,
Mhm.
it can literally start with not going to church one day or not going to this gathering one day and then lead you to, like, this other
Hmm.
bit in the other spectrum, you know? Like,
Yeah.
and I think, like, even when it comes to things like this, like, even the small decisions
Mhm.
where you compromise can lead to the biggest
Bro, it's like
ones at
dominoes,
the
bro.
end. Yeah.
Oh,
Hit one domino that comes knocking
was
all
good.
down.
yeah. I
And
like
that's
that.
where it gets dangerous. Like, and you'll never know because you won't see it until there's an abundance of whatever comes from it, right?
Mhm.
Like for us, we tend to overlook the small outcomes sometimes,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but it's not until it gets to the big thing where we get to, or like an insecurity or whatever it is, or like whatever, however it begins to like manifest in your life or in your body or whatever, whether it's anxiety or whatever it is that it is, right?
Yeah.
That's when we start to notice.
Mhm.
But it's like in the root, like it's in the one small decision where the root began.
Yeah.
You know?
Oof. Yeah.
And yeah, honestly, I just think we need to. I literally saw this. I saw this video yesterday where this guy was talking about like us being more supportive. Like we should be more supportive of each other.
Yeah.
Because when we fail, we're so quick to jump on them and say, "Hey, man, you suck." Like,
Yeah.
you know, like.
Oh, he was looking at me a little too.
No, and one thing that he said was like during COVID, a lot of people started businesses. A lot of people
Yeah.
started this and that,
Yeah.
and people were so quick to laugh at them when they failed.
Mhm.
And in our society, that is so common.
Yeah.
And that's why we fear so much to step into certain things. Like
Yeah.
we feel like it has to be so perfect in order for it to even start. Like this podcast, like we recorded an episode a month ago, but because of this borderline perfectionist mindset that I felt like I had to please a lot of people and I had this fear of failing, I was throwing out excuses like there was no tomorrow. And this is new to David. But
Nah, bro, I'm the same.
but that is something that
Dang, yeah.
society literally puts on us. It's
Yeah,
like, man,
yeah.
if you fail, like,
I
man,
feel
that's
you.
a big thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
But-
feel like just to let you continue real quick. I feel like a lot of the times it's a mental thing,
Yeah.
and it's moreover the situation is that we put ourselves in this position when in reality it's not. Surrounding ourselves with the community that we do, with supportive community, we tend to think of ourselves as like we diminish ourselves. And when it comes to the point of releasing the said product or whatever it is that we're releasing,
Mhm.
the people around us, sometimes you expect them to do something, but they do a whole 180 and they support you,
Yeah.
and they do something else. But it's the little things. It's that out of 100 people, that one person is like, "Hey, bro, like your lighting was off. Your whole thing is
Yeah.
trash."
Yeah.
And you focus and you hone in on that one thing.
Yeah.
That I know, cause dude, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's terrible. I
That's
know what
so-
that feels like.
Yeah. And I think too, like with the first episode, like I was pretty like okay with it, but then Osmin was like, "No, we can do it better," and he was sending me notes like, "No, look, let's add more notes or let's take out the gibberish that we did." But honestly, at the same time, though, I feel like it's not also like a fear of failing, but it's also like wanting to put out the best we can put out.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Because I'm with you, man. Like if we could have done better, I'm like, heck yeah, we could do better. Let's do it again. Let's run it
Mhm.
again. But I think that's one thing too, like you were saying about community, is that I feel like all of us and like partnering up with Osmin to do this podcast, I'm surrounding myself with people who are going to push me forward and not hold me back. Because if anything, it could have been a trash podcast and then Osmin's like, yeah, drop it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So where you think you're like trying to please people, I see it as like my brother's pushing me forward to do better. Lastly, one thing that I think we all have to remember is that fear is temporary.
Yep.
Fear is not gonna have a hold on you. It'll have a hold on you as long as you let it,
Mhm.
but it's temporary.
yeah.
If you guys look back to like your first time stepping into church, your first time stepping onto a platform, first time going into ministry, there's fear involved. It's scary, but that you don't feel that way now.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing to remember. There's always a light at the end of the tunnel. There's always freedom is always found is going to be found, And I think that's a hope that we all have. That fear is temporary. Your compromise, I like what you said earlier. You said it depends where you compromise. Or something around that line. You said, like, it's about what you compromise on. So our fear is temporary, and your compromise can turn into a success.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, because even if you look at Proverbs 9:10, it says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Like, what you're probably like, oh, like, what do you mean? Like, there's no compromise in this. But let me tell you, like, when you get to this point to where you fear the Lord and where you hold him in that regard, like where in the position that he is in, then your flesh compromises. So like even in the bad, like your flesh will compromise as well. When you submit everything unto the Lord, all those thoughts, everything, all of who you are, when you submit it to him and you hold him in the position that he is, he will guide you, he will instruct you, and your flesh will begin to compromise. So it's not only like you fear dogs, so you will avoid your friend's house who has a dog, but it's like you fear the Lord, like you hold him in this position, this like reverence.
Yeah.
That your flesh is like, I'm not gonna go over there with the flesh and give into it.
Yeah.
And man, like
it's kind of like how I fear my Mexican mother, but I don't fear her because I'm scared of her. I fear her because I don't want to fail her.
The reverent fear.
Oof.
The reverent fear.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
like you fear it because you love.
Yeah.
Exactly. I get
Yeah.
that.
100%. Yeah. That's so good.
Dude, if I could just add one last thing.
No.
All right, for sure, guys. One thing.
Of course, the special guest can add something.
All right, thank you. Appreciate that, man. No, but one thing that I'm a firm believer in what the word says and how it says, love casts out all fear. Love leads you to trust.
Ooh.
When you love somebody, you trust them, no?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you trust me, right? Like, if I had my Glock, I'm just like, you would trust me. No, but...
Hey, do you still trust me with your car?
What happened to the trust fall?
I don't trust you no more.
Here.
I don't trust this guy in my car anymore.
we have a story about... Never mind.
What you were saying?
Long story short, just to kill that real quick, he drove my car for like not even a minute. He crashed it, bro.
What?
Not crashed it, but
No,
he ran over a whole curb.
He had
whole curb?
like his baby, this Genesis, bro, and he never let anybody drive it. He was like, "You want to drive my car?" I was like, "Heck yeah!" We were outside of church, and I thought the entire parking lot doesn't have bumps. But the one spot he parked in had a bump, so I just thought I could go forward because the whole parking lot, and then I go and it's like, and then I'm like.
Oh,
he's like, go back, and then I was like,
wait, you went over it?
Yeah,
I thought you just scratched it.
No,
No,
and then he was like, go backwards, and I was like, no, I gotta full send it, like I gotta go, dude.
Full send it?
And then I just no, dude, and then like, was it like a month later, a few weeks later that
it was a month or a couple months later.
Okay, the camera died, so we're gonna wrap up our last points here. Joey.
All right, for sure. Yeah, I don't trust you in my car anymore. But no, like I said, love leads to trust. When you trust somebody, you love them. That's like a really big sign that you trust them. And this process that God put me on, not this last year, but this lifelong process that God put me on, he gave me one verse, 3 different translations, and they all came at separate points in my life when I was at my lowest point. The verse is Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 through 6. And basically, the first version of that verse that I got was trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to him, and he will make your path straight. This is a season that I was very prideful, and in the season in which I was like, I thought I was a big shot. I wasn't on the worship team. I was playing guitar and singing, and I was doing XYZ for the whole church. And I was like, yeah. And I was in a relationship. Woo, that broke off. I was alone for a long time, and I was just so depressed and so on myself. And God said, submit to him. I was like, I don't know what that means, but okay. Later down in my life, like probably half a year later, I'm like, I wrote that verse on my wall, that version. The Holy Spirit convicts me. He was like, I need you to read the same verse, but in New King James Version. And I was like, okay, it's going to say the same thing. It says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Mm-hmm. The difference between submit and acknowledging him is that once you're on the ground, you can just be in your own presence. You're going to be like, God, I'm so bad. I'm so this, and this, and this. It took me to this whole process in the beginning. It was me acknowledging or me submitting to the point where I was like, God, I let this go. But I wasn't glorifying God with that. I wasn't using it as a testimony. I wasn't even worshiping God at that point. I was just treating myself like trash. But he was like, no, I need you to acknowledge me now in your prayers. I was like, okay. And this is the point where I started seeking him or acknowledging him and starting to worship with spirit and in truth. And the last version that he gave me was the New Living Translation version, was my favorite. And dude, it says, trust in the Lord God with all your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek his will in all you do, and he shall show you which path to take. So not only have I submitted, have I acknowledged, but now I'm seeking him. And I'm trusting him to the point where I'm like, okay, God, I know where you're taking me. So I don't need to be afraid anymore.
Yeah.
I know that you're going to push me in the right position, right place, with the right people. And he took me from this place where I was low and prideful to this position where I was finally free. And I let go of a lot of these demons that were trying to convince me that I was garbage, that I was trash, that I was bound to the spirit of fear. And it really took me to this place where I was like, okay, God, I can trust you because I love you, and I'm not afraid anymore.
Come on.
Cue to that little clip of I'm not afraid anymore from Home Alone 1. I'm not afraid anymore.
Yeah, guys, we hope you enjoyed this episode.
Yes, sir.
We had the boy Joey.
Yes,
Follow
Joey
him on
Gomez.
Instagram.
Hey, shout out your Instagram. real
Yeah.
quick.
Y'all can follow me at ampersand, the @ sign if you don't know.
What the heck?
Yeah, you're gonna have to spell that, bro.
No, it's just underscore Joey G. Literally, it's Joey JoeyGee _ again. Or you can follow me at my other IG, my professional page, at underscore shot by H _ Thank you guys.
Yeah, so if you're in
Appreciate
the
it.
California area and you need videography, photography, a nice foot massage, hit up my boy Joey.
Boy. We love you all.
Take care.
We out.
Peace.